Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Former Dolphins starter predicted to sign with Steelers in free agency. Former Miami Dolphins starter Connor Williams is still on the market, searching for his next team. The former Dolphins offensive lineman started his career with the Dallas Cowboys before heading to Miami for the past 2 seasons. Zach Cook of Sports Grid predicts Williams will sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers in free agency. It's been a large struggle with injuries to this point for Connor Williams. The talent continues to be there, but the injuries have hindered his ability to find a new job to this point. Williams played in just 9 games during the 2023 season but played in 17 with 17 starts for the Dolphins in 2022. In 3 of the past 4 seasons, he's played in at least 16 games. Williams went down with an ACL tear in December of 2023 for the Miami Dolphins, making his availability for the start of the 2024 season a question mark. Due to the injury he sustained, the Pittsburgh Steelers and other teams could be waiting to hear what his decision will be. Williams' agent Drew Rosenhaus appeared on the Joe Rose Show in February and said they'll take their time making a decision. "I do think that we're going to be very methodical and take our time relative to the contract," Rosenhaus said. "A lot of it may be predicated on how Connor is feeling physically. He may not be a player that signs at the very start of free agency. He may take more time based on how he's feeling physically. Connor's situation has a degree of uncertainty that's going to be tied to how he's feeling. And really, we'll just take it one day at a time once we get into the offseason, but I'm not sure that is one that'll be resolved as quickly as some of the other players that we represent." Entering the offseason, the center position was an area of need for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers cut Mason Cole to create nearly $5 million in cap space but created a need for a center. Williams would provide them with an above-average center, earning a PFF grade of 86.5 for the Miami Dolphins in 2023. Williams allowed just 1 sack on 497 snaps but was called for a penalty 7 times, the 6th most in the NFL. Joe Kuzma of Steel City Underground wrote on March 26 that the center position was one of 4 needs. The Steelers said goodbye to veteran Mason Cole this offseason, as Cole's performance had been better than his predecessor, Kendrick Green, but still below the line of Hall of Fame level play the franchise has enjoyed during the modern era. With 2 new quarterbacks in town, the center position is imperative for the team. Aside from snapping the ball, the center generally knows everything that's going on with any given play. This will be important with first-year offensive coordinator Arthur Smith's schemes, as well as making sure the snaps themselves don't fall at the ankles of Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. Look for the Steelers to possibly add a free agent who can plug and play at multiple spots while also targeting this position in the draft. A reunion with the Dolphins seems unlikely as the Dolphins signed Aaron Brewer earlier in the offseason to replace Williams. Williams has a calculated market value of $13.5 million, according to Spotrac. While an expensive price tag, the second highest grade center, according to PFF, might be worth the price. First call, Steelers interviewing top-notch offensive tackle before draft, huge night for Penguins' playoff hopes. Tuesday's First Call takes a look at a high-profile offensive lineman on the Steelers draft board. A new Steelers defensive lineman discusses the reason why he chose Pittsburgh in free agency. We also examine the Pirates' early offensive prowess and how the Penguins' playoff prospects could be impacted by many outcomes of NHL games Tuesday night. The Steelers are scheduled to have a pre-draft interview with one of the best offensive linemen available in the selection process, Troy Fautanu. The Washington offensive tackle is slated to be in Pittsburgh soon. He's visiting Jacksonville on Tuesday and also has Philadelphia on the list. The 6'4", 317-pound prospect has already met with Baltimore and Cincinnati. All of that is according to Bleacher Report's Jordan Schultz. According to ESPN.com, Fataanu is the second-best defensive tackle on the board and the ninth-best player in the entire draft. Steelers offensive line coach Pat Meyer was also at Washington's Pro Day last month, checking out Fataanu and fellow tackle Roger Rosenbarten. New Steeler Dean Lowry has explained why he decided to sign in Pittsburgh as a free agent. The 29-year-old defensive lineman spoke with his hometown paper in Rockford, Illinois, about why he decided to ink a 2-year deal with the franchise last month. With young players, sometimes it's more up and down with them. Meeting with coach Mike Tomlin, he made it clear that there is a strong sense of urgency right now in the building and he wants guys who have been there and done that, Lowry told the Rockford Register-Star. I fit that mold of what they are looking for in a defensive player this fall. Some of those young players who could be viewed as up and down along the defensive line for the Steelers last year were DeMarvin Leal and Isaiah Loudermilk. Expect Lowry to battle them for position on the depth chart. After playing a lot of defensive end for the first 7 years of his career in Green Bay, Lowry was moved inside with the Minnesota Vikings a year ago. He's expected to bounce back outside with the Steelers this year. You see some similarities between Green Bay and Pittsburgh, with respect to being an iconic franchise and being in a community that really values football, Lowry said via a post at SteelersNow.com. At 6'6", 296 pounds, Lowry is entering his 9th NFL season. Last year, he totaled 14 tackles in 9 games with the Vikings. Steelers Justin Fields named potential target for NFC rival. Quarterback Justin Fields will play for the Pittsburgh Steelers during the 2024 season. But FanSided's Christopher Klein presented a scenario where he could return to the NFC by next year. Klein suggested Fields as one of 5 different options for the Dallas Cowboys to replace quarterback Dak Prescott before the 2025 season. The Cowboys obviously have an underlying interest in dual-threat QBs, see Trey Lance, Klein wrote. If Prescott walks, we can expect Jerry Jones to look for a splashy name with a little upside. Fields is 25 years old, with enough starting experience to justify one last prolonged opportunity. In Klein's scenario, the Steelers declined Fields' 5th-year option for 2025. In the hypothetical, Fields also didn't receive the opportunity to play in Pittsburgh during 2024, and the Steelers presumably signed Russell Wilson to a contract extension. The Steelers acquired Fields from the Chicago Bears for a conditional 2025 6th-round pick on March 16. The draft selection will become a 4th-round choice if Fields plays 51% of Pittsburgh's offensive snaps in 2024. CBS Sports' Josina Anderson reported the Cowboys plan to sign Prescott to a contract extension. But because it's America's team, rumors are likely to swirl behind center for Dallas until Prescott signs his next deal. Klein argued that Fields could be a contingency plan for Dallas for much of the same reason the Steelers were interested in him: he's cheap. While his output was never great, the complete lack of faith in such a dynamic athlete is a bit surprising, Klein wrote. It could set up Dallas with a chance to find major value in the bargain bin. 3 years ago, Fields was a 1st-round draft pick. Schefter speculated that Fields could be worth multiple day 2 selections in a trade this offseason. But instead, the Bears offloaded Fields for one day 3 pick in next year's draft. If Fields doesn't play in 2024, which was the scenario Klein presented, then it's unlikely the quarterback raises his value. Fields is 10-28 in his NFL career as a starter. Although he's a tremendous playmaker, he is also prone to make significant mistakes. Fields has averaged 7 yards per pass, with 40 touchdown passes along with 6.2 yards per carry and 14 rushing touchdowns in his career. He has also thrown 30 interceptions, fumbled 38 times, and taken 135 sacks in 40 NFL games. Klein's hypothetical where Fields lands with the Cowboys in free agency next year is dependent on the Steelers declining his 5th-year option, the quarterback not playing for the Steelers in 2024, and then Fields electing to leave Pittsburgh. But it's also dependent on one other thing: Fields not signing a contract extension with the Steelers before the season. And you, fan, what do you think of the situation of Damar Hamlin? Leave your opinion in the comments.